Liu Fan, a man who has been reborn as a mutant lion king, levels up his skills every time he breathes. A mysterious woman, her clothes all teared into bits, heads to the Mountain of Lions while running away from a military squad. One of the soldiers shoots at the mysterious woman, which causes the entire beast hide beneath them to become so alarmed that one of the ferocious beasts amongst them, a mutant boar, retaliates against the soldiers, forcing them to fall back. Knowing that outrunning a mutant boar is simply impossible, the head leader of the squad loads a bazooka and launches it at the mutant boar. However, it deals no damage at all, so the squad leader loads the grenade launcher to take another shot. At that moment, the main character of this story, Liu Fan, the Golden Lion King, emerges from the beast hide and also joins the mutant boar to fight against the military squad. The ferocious king of the jungle easily takes down all of the puny humans in his sight and ends the battle in the blink of an eye. The lion realizes that he went too far and should have controlled his strength. Yet he blames everything on the military squad, stating that if they didn't cause chaos here in the Lion Mountain, things wouldn't have ended this way. This Golden Lion King Liu Fan reveals to have the ability to speak is not just some ordinary beast, but a man named Liu Fan, who originally was a college student from Japan, who was reborn into this isekai world as this demonic beast, the Golden Lion. Liu Fan's prowess in this life is so high that even the fiercest monsters are scared of him, and from birds to ants, every single species is loyal to him. A huge anaconda sneaks behind Liu Fan and informs him about the girl who was being chased by the military squad earlier. Apparently, during the chaos, she was affected by the grenade launcher's explosion and fell into the ferocious beast hide, leading the snake to believe that she had not survived the fall. But later at night, Liu Fan manages to find the girl's lifeless body on the ground and notices a mysterious aura surrounding her, causing him to believe her soul is still there. As he, out of curiosity, sucks in the aura away from the dead girl like a dementor, her soul in its true form also leaves her body, which Liu Fan finds to be rather interesting. Liu Fan takes the girl's ghost back to his den, and she begins to cry as she doesn't want to be anywhere near this terrifying monster. The system pops up in front of Liu Fan out of nowhere and gives him his first mission to bind with the ghost girl quickly before she runs out of time. Suddenly, a ball of flames surrounds Liu Fan, calling him out for going too overboard this time. The ball of flames then goes towards the ghost girl and takes the form of a girl, revealing herself to be a green candle demon named Xiao Zhu. Xiao Zhu, with a big wide smile on her face, calms down Ghost Girl, assuring her that their king has no bad intentions. According to Xiao Zhu, Liu Fan has too much demon energy in him, which might have leaked inside Ghost Girl's body and ended up condensing her soul so much that it was no longer able to depart like other souls. Hence, she became a ghost. Apparently, Xiao Zhu also shares the same fate as the Ghost Girl, and because she is a demon now, she also proposes to the Ghost Girl to become a demon like her. But before that, she asks her what her business was with the military squad and why she was being chased down by them. Hesitantly, the Ghost Girl, whose name is Su Ling, tells Xiao Zhu that when she was alive, she had been living in a village that was situated at the foot of the Lion Mountain. Recently, many people from her village started to go missing, leaving only around 20 of them in their tiny village. That time, the mysterious military squad came to their village and surrounded them from everywhere, threatening to murder all of them. They forced old men and children to go inside the forest that was filled with dark energy and sacrificed each and every one of the villagers just to open up a path for them to explore. And when Su Ling's turn came, she too was sent inside the forest. The dark miasma in the forest, which seemed to have a hypnotic effect, surrounded Su Ling and caused her to run in one direction at all times. But then she saw both of her parents' souls, who guided her to another path, leading her to fall into a pit. Inside the pit, she found an extremely rare crimson spider lily and a mysterious coffin beside it, making her realize that the military squad must be looking for this flower. Not wanting to let the people who murdered all of the villagers have their way with this too, Su Ling decided to take the flower for herself and eat it to ensure the military squad would never be able to take it. As a consequence of eating this mysterious flower, she was filled with spiritual energy, which allowed her to see clearly even in blinding, pitch-black darkness. Shortly after, the military squad came there, so Su Ling hid behind some trees and saw them taking away the coffin. But because they failed to find the crimson spider lily that was supposed to be attached to the coffin, the contractor of that squad refused to give them any money for the mission. The military squad assumed that the last girl, whom they forced to enter the forest, must have taken the flower for herself, so they began chasing after her, eventually leading her to enter the Mountain of Lion, where she ended up losing her life. Hearing Su Ling's story, Liu Fan realizes that she must have at the spirit coffin's flower, which apparently allows the consumer to obtain a special constitution. In Su Ling's case, she got the revenge constitution. Apparently, mercenaries always look for these flowers to become stronger, and that is why the contractor must have been looking for them to sell them to them. In any case, Liu Fan doesn't care about Su Ling's past and only wishes to bind with her, as that is the mission given to him by the system. He goes near Su Ling, offering her to become a member of his team, and as she reluctantly agrees to whatever the terrifying monster asks of her, they bond successfully, prompting the system to trigger another main mission for Liu Fan. Seeing the rewards of this quest, Liu Fan realizes that he might finally gather enough points to attain a human form. Ever since he was reincarnated as a golden lion cub, the system made it so that he became stronger no matter what he did and kept on increasing all of his stats simultaneously. When Liu Fan eventually grew as strong as ever, he became the demon king of the Mountain of Lions, but never before has it offered him a quest reward. So this mysterious opportunity piques his interest a lot. He sees that he will get a yang body fragment as a reward, which apparently is going to let him regain his human body. But in order to get that reward, Liu Fan will have to convince Su Ling to put down the obsession in her heart and become her loyal servant. Just like any of us, Liu Fan doesn't understand what the quest menu wants him to do, so he asks Su Ling directly about the obsession she has in her heart. Su Ling, who now goes by Xiao Ling as she has now become a demon thanks to Liu Fan, expresses how concerned she is about her loved ones and relatives who she doesn't know are alive or not. Liu Fan understands Xiao Ling's concerns, so he makes a younger clone of himself and tasks it to escort Xiao Ling back to her village so that she could find out for herself how her loved ones are doing. And before letting them go, Liu Fan gives Xiao Ling another gift, a sharp kunai mixed with his spiritual energy. Xiao Ling becomes truly appreciative of Liu Fan for showing her such kindness, not knowing that he is only doing so in order to get rewards from the quest menu. As she proceeds to take her leave, Xiao Zhu offers to walk her down the road, which is covered in dark miasma. Thanks to all of their help, Xiao Ling smoothly walks through the forest, but finds out that the black miasma has completely disappeared, making her assume that something terrible has happened. As they keep walking, they eventually come across the leftover bones and skulls of the villagers. With the dead bodies' clothes still intact, Xiao Ling recognizes one of them as her grandfather. As Xiao Ling begins to cry, the clone of Liu Fan uses his spiritual energy to purify all of the dead bodies, letting them re-enter the cycle of life and rebirth, which puts Xiao Ling's heart at ease. She buries all of the corpses, hoping that they can rest in peace, and then proceeds to look for her parents, hoping that they have not met the same fate as the others. While exploring the forest looking for more corpses, little Liu Fan senses the military squad to be still near the place where the coffin and the crimson spider lily were. Apparently, they are waiting for Xiao Ling to return so that they can get the flower from her, not knowing that she is already dead. The soldiers reveal to be staring at two corpses who they claim to be Xiao Ling's parents. As Xiao Ling watches the soldiers deliberately disrespecting her parents' corpses by kicking them and throwing them around, she grabs the kunai, seeking vengeance. But Liu Fan stops her in time, telling her to wait as someone else is making their way there currently. A woman named Mai Yun descends from a helicopter there, who seems to be one of the leaders of the military squad. She learns about the situation and doesn't seem to care about the lost flower, as she claims that the thing that was conceived below the coffin is worth far more than it. She jumps down in the pit where the coffin was and digs up the soil around it, revealing that it has turned into a 3-life soul soil because of how many lives were sacrificed around it. Because of the discovery of the 3-life soul soil, the system increases Liu Fan's intelligence points, letting him see his veins more clearly than ever. He also becomes able to see other beings' veins and looks at Najini, who takes it the wrong way, thinking her king has taken an interest in her slimy body. Because Liu Fan has now unlocked this very special and unique ability, he wonders to what lengths he will be able to use it. He realizes that the veins he is seeing are the flowing spiritual energy as he discovers the entire forest around him to be covered with the same spiritual energy veins. Out of sheer curiosity, Liu Fan begins to follow the veins, because usually it leads to a root, and as anticipated, he finds the root of the spiritual energy veins hidden in the depths of the ground. Meanwhile, at the ruins of sarcophagus where the coffin was taken, Mai Yun decides to collect all the 3-life soul soils for herself. But because she knows the soldiers will let the higher-ups know about this, she decides to take the lives of her subordinates. Knowing that their lives are on the line, the soldiers begin to retaliate, but Mai Yun, who reveals himself to have magical powers, immobilizes the soldiers just by glaring at them and hunts them down one after the other. After murdering all of the soldiers nearby, an evil smile appears on Mai Yun's face as she becomes greatly satisfied by the powers that the Soul Sand has already given her. She reveals that it was her intention all along to get this Soul Sand and had presented her plan to the higher-up Lu Yi, implanting the idea in him that he would be able to get many treasures from the coffin. Su Ling eavesdrops on everything and hears Mai Yun confessing that it was she who also came up with the idea to sacrifice the villagers. So she attacks Mai Yun right away, as it is her dire need to take vengeance on the perpetrator who has taken away her loved ones. Although Su Ling is a ghost, Mai Yun is able to see her and attacks her back, which Su Ling barely dodges. Mai Yun reveals that she has not seen Su Ling but only sensed him here because of a magical bracelet that alarmed her about the murdering intent behind her. She reveals that she has more useful gadgets, like the bracelet, and brings out a pair of glasses that allow her to see ghosts. This gets Su Ling intimidated, who still remains determined to avenge her parents and promises to make Mai Yun pay. Mai Yun claims that those ants, referring to Su Ling's parents, died for a greater purpose, which is of course Mai Yun's need to become strong. This certified monster completely triggers Su Ling's anger. Hence, she comes at her again and begins fighting with her in full force. Liu Fan, who has been watching from the sidelines all along, realizes that Mai Yun has dealt with ghosts before because she wasn't surprised when she saw Su Ling first. Realizing that Mai Yun can deal with ghosts like Su Ling, he immediately assists Su Ling by deactivating the bracelet on Mai Yun's hand so that she can no longer detect Su Ling's presence. Liu Fan, who knows that Su Ling, an amateur ghost, doesn't stand a chance against an awakener like Mai Yun, still decides not to help her as he believes that Su Ling's desire to get revenge will lead her to win. Because of his earlier assistance, Mai Yun fails to see the attack coming from behind and dies at her hands. As Su Ling begins to celebrate her first win with Liu Fan, Mai Yun surprisingly gets up again, being aware of the fact that Su Ling is with Liu Fan. Su Ling can't believe that Mai Yun is still alive after taking a direct slash to her neck with the kunai. In any case, Su Ling attacks her once again and shows how strong she is, revealing that she had fighting experience by murdering cows in the forest before. Su Ling slices off Mai Yun's arm clean, but still she remains standing, making Liu Fan realize that this body might be a clone who has replaced the dead Mai Yun. To confirm if that's the case, Liu Fan uses his newly attained intelligence ability on Mai Yun and discovers that her entire body is covered with the aura of the three-life soul soil. This discovery helps him figure out what's really been going on. When Mai Yun dripped her blood on the soul soil before their fight, she became one with that soil, and thanks to the soul's power, Mai Yun reattached her arm to her body. But Su Ling doesn't stand by to let her do as she pleases and attacks her again. However, even after being dealt such a deadly blow, Mai Yun remains unshaken and starts laughing like a total maniac as she begins to enjoy her new powers. Using her bloodstrings, she grabs all of the limbs of Mai Yun and begins to torture her, indicating that she has a bondage fetish. Liu Fan no longer stays in the backline as he cannot stand anyone who dares to bully his people. In the blink of an eye, he rescues Su Ling from Mai Yun's hold, and using one of the fragments, he turns himself into the shape of a man. Before dealing with Mai Yun, Liu Fan instructs Xiao Zhu and Ling to hold their breath, cover their ears, and empty their minds as things are about to get spicy. Moments after giving them the heads up, the Golden Lion King releases a gigantic roar on Mai Yun, which itself is so powerful that it completely erases her from existence. Now that the battle is over, Liu Fan loots the remains of his opponent's body and collects her sword, which he finds to be rather useful as it increases most of his attack stats. Then, Liu Fan notices that his facial fur hasn't been removed even after activating his human mode using those precious fragments that he got from the quest rewards. He realizes that he will have to collect all of the Yang fragments if he wishes to turn into a complete human, which makes him disappointed but at the same time more determined to complete the quests the system will give him in the future. Xiao Zhu instantly falls in love with the new form of Liu Fan and compliments him on his new manly look. The system notifies Liu Fan that he has absorbed the three-life soul soil by defeating Mai Yun, which has increased his overall intelligence to level 2. The level upgrade allows Liu Fan to see spiritual energy in the air, which makes him feel very powerful. The system also notifies Liu Fan that Su Ling's quest hasn't been completed yet, giving him the hint that she is not satisfied with her revenge. So he decides to go down in the mountains to investigate this further in order to help Su Ling exact her revenge. The sun starts to rise, which alarms both the demons Ling and Zhu because demons like them cannot survive directly in the sun. So they seek shelter from their king, who has a young body and is immune to the sun's rays. Liu Fan doesn't like how these two vulnerable, weak women are embracing him without any signs of hesitation, so he tells them to find an alternative, giving them the idea to possess Mai Yun's corpse. Su Ling doesn't want to do that, as she thinks Mai Yun is way uglier than her, but because it's a direct order from the king, she's left with no other option but to comply. So in her new body, Su Ling begins to walk around the forest with Liu Fan, hoping to find the others who are responsible for the villagers' deaths. Disguising himself as a comrade of Mai Yun, Liu Fan heads to the military base of operations with Su Ling, who of course has possessed Mai Yun's dead body. The soldiers welcome Mai back, asking her if she has managed to obtain the thing that she went looking for. Mai replies in the affirmative, and to not arouse any suspicion, she tells the soldiers to go back to their stations. She and Liu Fan take the helicopter to the nearest city called Lion Ridge, where it is seen that many dinosaur-like monsters have failed to infiltrate the walls of the city because of its high security. The pilot driving the helicopter shows Mai Yun the people who are trying to gather resources from the corpses of the ferocious beasts, as even the bones of those beasts can be sold for a large amount of money on the black market. Su Ling has had enough of these dumb and cruel soldiers, so once the helicopters land at the helipad, she slices off all of their heads with one slash and steps out to take down the entire organization that is behind such gruesome operations in the mountains. Xiao Zhu, who has been hiding under the cloak of Liu Fan to save herself from the sun, comments on how dull the base of the strong organization looks, making her wonder if Liu Fan's breath itself can destroy it. Liu Fan also thinks that might be possible, but he isn't in a rush and tells Zhu to take it nice and slow as he wants to play with his prey first. Upon entering the tower, they take down many executives of the strong organization with ease and also look for a perfect suit in the meantime that Liu Fan would be able to wear. Liu Fan uses his detection ability, which lets him see through walls, allowing him to locate another woman with a gun who has also sneaked into this facility. So he faces the woman to see which side she is on, and as she begins to attack him with a gun that is filled with spiritual energy bullets, he gets impressed. However, the bullets deal no damage to his overpowered body, making the woman realize that she doesn't stand a chance against her current opponent. Thankfully for her, Liu Fan stops showing her any hostility as he realizes that she is not an agent of the strong organization. Although the woman doesn't want to reveal why he came here, she accidentally spouts out that she came here to steal data from this company because they snatched away her own company's development project from them. Liu Fan shows his interest more in the woman's melons than in her backstory and squeezes out a map that was hidden inside them. He sees that this is the map of his territory, but before he can interrogate the woman about what and why she has this map, Lu Yi, the leader of the organization who is the main culprit, arrives at the building, diverting everyone's attention towards him. Lu Yi, who is the branch manager, shows Mai Hu, the secretary of the head organization, the coffin the headquarters wanted to bring into their possession so badly. As they are about to move the coffin out, Mai calls Wu Gang, her subordinate, who is as strong as a mountain, to lift the coffin. Apparently all of them are awakeners who, although humans, have surpassed their limitations in this world. Liu Fan becomes amazed at how strong each and every single one of them is and excitedly picks up a fight with them, starting off with Lu Yi. Lu Yi tries to punch Liu Fan several times but fails to land a single one as Liu Fan is much faster and more agile. Liu Fan's toughness increases as the fight continues, which alarms Lu Yi, who doesn't understand how he is not able to deal any damage to him. To learn the truth, Lu Yi unveils the cloak of Liu Fan and becomes amazed to see his physique, calling him a beast-man awakener. Although Liu Fan is a mutant lion, he takes it as a compliment and flexes his gorgeous abs. He beats Lu Yi without even needing to touch him, and as a result, he gets many skill points as a reward from the system menu. Mai doesn't believe that a B-rank awakener like Lu Yi was so easily defeated by a nobody, so she sends her subordinate Wu Gang to take care of the unfinished job, telling her to defeat Liu Fan. The absolute Madame yeets the coffin at Liu Fan without even considering how precious and fragile it is for the company. Unlike him, Liu Fan does acknowledge how precious the coffins are, so he cushions the landing of them, and after putting them down, scolds the obvious idiot for yanking them at him without even thinking twice. Instead of admitting her mistake, Wu Gang bulks up his muscles and gets ready to beat the righteousness out of the Lion King. However, she too is considerably less than a mere insect in comparison to the Lion King, so Su Ling intervenes, telling Wu Gang to come and fight her. She stabs Wu Gang on the chest with her dagger, but because of how strong, like concrete, Wu Gang's melons have become, they hold the dagger inside, making Su Ling realize that muscle is indeed everything. It needs to be noted that brains are also necessary, and since Wu Gang clearly doesn't have any, she loses to Liu Fan, who instantly knocks her out with just a flick of his middle finger. Mei becomes disappointed seeing how all of her subordinates have fallen, but she claims to have not expected much from them anyway. She thinks that unlike them, she will be able to defeat Liu Fan because she believes she is different from them just because she has a sad backstory. But her sad backstory doesn't help much in her battle, so she chooses the alternative method to allure him using her femininity and goes all out, teasing Liu Fan and telling him to come and do her. This causes Liu Fan to go into berserk mode and lose control of himself. My guy becomes so full of lust that he instantly corners Mei to get his way with her. Su Ling, who can't believe what kind of indecent act her king is about to do, asks Xiao Zhu what's wrong with him all of a sudden. Zhu explains that their king has been affected by Mei's special lust fire that has gone totally out of control. According to Zhu, everything in this world has heart fire. The concept is similar to yin and yang. Heart fire is composed of desire fire and karma fire, and both are extremely dangerous fires, so they need to be suppressed by the innate spiritual energy of the user. So because Mei disturbed Liu Fan's desire for fire with her lust for fire, the king has lost his state of mind and is acting only on instinct. If he continues to spend too much time in his disrupted state, there is a possibility that he will be devoured by his own desires and die. Of course, the two Xios don't want that to happen in any case, so they come up with a plan together to extinguish their king's lust fire. In the meantime, Liu Fan begins to fulfill his desires by making Mei suffer, and to be honest, she deserves such vile treatment since she is the one who instigated this scenario. Xiao Zhu is an accumulation of candle fire, underworld ghost fire, god fire, and samedi fire, which makes her very compatible when dealing with such things. Therefore, she thinks that if she redirects Liu Fan's attention towards her and bears his lust fire, he will eventually cool down. She tries to absorb his lust fire following the plan and ends up taking in so much of the yang energy that her entire body turns pure golden. Thankfully, Liu Fan finally stabilizes, and once he regains complete control of his body again, he looks at the system menu that informs him about the new technique named Sacred Fire that he has learned by going through that stage. He learns everything from Zhu about what happened and how he lost control of himself, so he punishes Mei, forcing her to kneel down to him and commanding her to tell him why her organization was looking for the three-life soul coffin. Mei states that she does not know what the organization wants with it, but claims to have heard rumors that say that if a person lies in the soul coffin, they will obtain a special power called the inheritance in illusion, and will be reincarnated instantly. But if the user loses themselves in that illusion, their soul will disperse and their body will turn into dust. Although the risks seem too great, Liu Fan decides to enter the coffin as he desperately desires to become human. So, to test if the coffin actually has anything to offer, he tells Su Ling to do it first, making her his experimental guinea pig. Ling happily agrees to be the first one to test the coffin out, as she has already devoted her ghost life to serving Liu Fan. So she proceeds to enter the coffin and enters the state of illusion, finding herself in a purple dark space. When Su Ling opens her eyes in the illusionary world, she finds herself in front of her village, back in her human form. She finds it unbelievable that everything has gone back to normal, making her wonder if everything up until now was just a nightmare. Her parents call her by her name, asking her to join them for dinner. Su Ling becomes emotional seeing her joyful parents back alive, but realizes that it's a trap made by the illusion. Still, her desire to be with her mom and dad for a small moment leads her to enter her parents' house. As she joins them for dinner, she unknowingly starts spending quality time with her father, forgetting that reality itself is completely fake. The illusion successfully tampers with her mental stability and begins drowning her in an eternal slumber. At the same time, Liu Fan from the outside still doesn't drag her out of the illusion and lets things play out, as he doesn't sense anything going wrong up until now. Su Ling opens up a restaurant with her parents in the village, which seems to have been her long-awaited dream. Xiao Zhu notices that it's almost time for sunrise, so she warns Liu Fan that if he doesn't bring her back before that, she will be stuck in her slumber for the rest of her life. Liu Fang also notices that Su Ling is struggling, so he decides to enter her illusionary world to take her out of there. Thanks to his much-needed intervention, Su Ling is brought back to the real world. As everyone is now safe, they have a group hug to celebrate their victory against the illusionary world. The system gives many rewards to Liu Fan for completing the quests and increases all of his abilities even further. Maid, who has been standing behind them all this time, mocks them for acting like an overly emotional family and gets punished by Xiao Zhu for crossing her limits. Liu Fan decides to keep Mai by his side, as it was because of her that he was able to attain so much power in such a short time, making him believe that she will be able to unlock more of his hidden potential in no time. After recruiting her, Liu Fan continues his way to the headquarters of the organization to punish them for disrupting the peace in the Mountain of Lions. Deciding to eliminate every one of the members of the organization, he burns the entire tower when suddenly the system pops up with a big flashy warning announcing that the second spiritual energy recovery is about to commence. In the next early morning at the Mountain of Lions, the system menu keeps popping up everywhere, announcing that the second spiritual energy recovery has begun, which will increase all of the surrounding monsters' powers. This causes all of the animals and beasts in the mountains to suffer from immense pain as their physicality also starts to change with the change of spiritual energy. Meanwhile, the system tasks Liu Fan to expand his area within a day, threatening to murder him if he fails to achieve the goal. So he quickly activates his demonic awareness to look up the surrounding area when he finds out that his friend Pangolin, who was tasked with guarding his golden tree, has fallen with the tree, making him realize that an uninvited guest has entered his fortress. To locate where the perpetrator is, Liu Fan follows the evil spiritual energy they have left behind and finds out that it's a colossal centipede. Apparently, the golden tree bears the legendary golden fruit every 10 years, which only ripens after another 10 years. If someone consumes that golden fruit, they get granted 30 years of demonic powers, and that's why Liu Fan can't believe that 3 trees were destroyed for no reason. Not only that, but his brother was also hurt by the centipede. Not being able to believe how audacious the centipede is, Liu Fan decides to teach it a lesson by turning it into fertilizer for the golden fruit tree. Declaring war against the colossal centipede, Liu Fan calls out to all of his minions, a parrot, a viper, a warhog, a giant black bear, and a white wolf. He immediately heads to the crime scene with the team, and he finds Pangolin beaten half to death. The giant bear swiftly carries Pangolin to the infantry to get him treated as quickly as possible. In the meantime, Liu Fan continues charging towards the centipede, who not only doesn't realize what type of situation it is in but also dares to roar at the king of the jungle, prompting Liu Fan to roar back at it. However, the green snake stops him, knowing that he will end up completely disintegrating the centipede. She steps up to deal with the centipede alone, dealing with it slowly and painfully in order to make it suffer to the fullest. As the fight ensues between them, Pangolin, who has received enough medical attention, comes back to the battlefield to apologize for not being able to live up to Liu Fan's expectations. Liu Fan doesn't blame Pangolin and tells him not to feel bad for losing once, as many more wins will surely come in the future. He moves their conversation to a much more important matter, which is why the colossal centipede attacked the golden tree. According to Pangolin, the centipede was a mere earthworm before, who was living under the golden fruit tree. But during the second spiritual energy recovery, it unexpectedly mutated, causing it to become stronger as ever. However, the centipede's intelligence did not increase at all during the mutation, so it fell into a frenzy, not being able to understand what was happening to it, and went completely out of control. Afterward, it attacked everything around it, including the golden apple tree, and ate all of the fruits, causing it to become even stronger. The green snake, who has been fighting the centipede, or to be more accurate, the earthworm, realizes how troublesome it is. As she cuts through one of its limbs, another head grows from it, just like how a hydra usually regenerates. The giant bear, the parrot, and the white fox also join the battle, acknowledging how strong the colossal centipede is. However, the prideful green snake requests that they stay back, as she wants to prove to the king that she is worthy of being by his side. Her heart fills with great conviction, prompting her to surpass her own limits and transform into a demon serpent, who then uses her ultimate move Dragon Breath on the centipede and reduces it to nothing. Now that the green serpent has proven that she is better than everyone, She hopes to get some compliments from everyone. However, everyone is too jealous of her to offer her some nice words. So instead, they accuse her of cheating and call her out for becoming stronger than them by sleeping with the king. The centipede regenerates once again and starts digging underground to escape from the terrifyingly strong green snake. Liu Fan remembers that there is a spiritual energy core just beneath them, which means that the entire area will be in chaos if the centipede accidentally disrupts the energy core. In order to stop the centipede from causing any more unnecessary damage, Liu Fan himself goes underground, activating maximum power, and comes across an ancient relic while looking for the centipede. To everyone's surprise, the centipede reveals that he was murdered by another monster who was peacefully resting inside this ancient relic. That human-looking monster named Qi Luo comes out of her lair with her red umbrella and decides to get rid of the pests who have dared to enter her home. Qi Luo appears to have taken down every subordinate of the Great Black Bear already, claiming that they were weaker than houseflies. Her statement causes the Great Bear to become furious and charge at her to avenge his subordinate. But he overestimates his own abilities and gets trapped by the Umbrella Lady's mysterious magic. The others join in to help Bear, but they too get beaten to a pulp by Qi Luo, who mocks Liu Fan for having a bunch of weaklings in his team and provokes him, calling him a little noisy kitten. To show the Umbrella Lady her place, Liu Fan uses his ultimate technique, Lion's Roar, which up until now has managed to one-shot all of his opponents. However, this time things don't turn out in Liu Fan's favor, as the plot requires some interesting villains in the story. So the plot lets the Umbrella Lady block Liu Fan's attack with no difficulty at all. She only gets blown away by the strong shockwaves coming from the roar, but quickly recomposes herself and counterattacks Liu Fan with her own ultimate attack called Devouring Earth and Heavens. As she rapidly spins her umbrella using this technique, it creates strong hurricanes filled with her deadly spiritual energy, hitting every single one of Liu Fan's comrades coming in its way. As the umbrella keeps moving towards Liu Fan, his comrades realize that it has the ability to take the target to another dimension, meaning that it will surely cause serious harm to him. And because they don't want their king to get hurt, they sacrifice themselves in order to weaken the umbrella's momentum. Watching them being erased from this reality and giving their all to protect their king, Liu Fan remembers that time when all of them were still kids and just formed a team together. Back then, Liu Fan wasn't a king but just the leader of their group, who, with his teammates, managed to drive away the hyena clan from the Mountain of Lions. Just like this moment, Liu Fan has many memories shared with his subordinates, whom he considers to be his only family. For that reason, he becomes furious and demands that Qi Luo get his family back to him, taking an oath to make her pay. As he begins releasing his ferocious aura everywhere nearby, the Umbrella Lady, who is now hidden inside the umbrella, immobilizes and fails to move a muscle. Taking this opportunity, Liu Fan attacks her but fails to do any damage to her. But he keeps persisting and wasting both of his time, so Qi Luo tells him that if he continues to make foolish decisions like this, she will make sure to never release his friends from the other dimension. Realizing that he has no other option but to comply with this evil witch, Liu Fan agrees to do whatever she asks of him. To make things interesting, Qi Luo comes up with the idea to destroy Liu Fan's humility and tells him to lick her feet like a loyal dog if he wants his friends to live. Although this task is clearly atrocious and humiliating, Liu Fan puts his ego aside and puts his mouth close to Qi Luo's feet to lick it. At that moment, he once again remembers becoming friends with his teammates and having a joyous dinner with all of them in the forest when all of them were still kids. For the sake of those precious memories, Liu Fan decides to become Qi Luo's puppy. But psych, he faked it all along just to close their distance and managed to take her red umbrella away from her. Without the possession of the umbrella, the jail dimension breaks and releases all of Liu Fan's friends. However, the battle has just begun, as Liu Fan still needs to beat the umbrella-less lady. He opens up the umbrella to release more people from the direction, not knowing that it's connected to Qi Luo's lady parts. As he keeps opening and closing the umbrella lady begins to make weird faces while making happy noises. Qi Luo claims that in her 100 years of being a demon, she has never met such a savage who is not only strong but also able to make her climax without even touching her taco. She confirms that running away is her only option for survival, but Liu Fan doesn't let her leave after everything that she has caused and runs after her. But their chase comes to an unexpected end as Liu reveals that he has the ability to fly and escape smoothly from Liu Fan, who is just a land animal. So he uses the last trick up his sleeve, the sacred fire technique called Golden Flame Devour, which also misses the target. So as Liu begins flying away, Liu Fan shows his displeasure with himself for not being able to make Qi Luo pay. Xiao Ling specifically becomes upset with herself for not being able to help her king and wonders if there is any way for her to fly again. She remembers the time when she was in the copy and accepted the inheritance called the life character formula, which allowed her to have a physical body like Liu Fan. So she uses that same formula to transform into her yin soul form from the yang soul and immediately dashes towards the umbrella demon, hoping that this time she will not disappoint the king. With lightning speed, she catches up to Qi Luo and uses her dagger to once again stab Luo, who barely blocks it using her umbrella. Qi Luo finds it truly bizarre that her new enemy, the Golden Lion, is at a higher level than her, and that a mere insect like Xiao Ling can tear through her umbrella using basic attacks. She loses her patience and uses another attack on Ling to get rid of her immediately, sending her to one of the dimensions inside the umbrella called the Infinite Ancient Town. It begins to rain in this realm, which seems to have corrosive properties as it dissolves Ling's clothes and her spiritual energy. Realizing that she cannot afford to stay here for too long, Ling starts heading towards a straight line when she comes across a pool of dissolved demons, making her realize that these demons were once the prey of Qi Luo. So she runs in the opposite direction but somehow ends up back at the same place, making her realize that it won't be easy to escape from this dimension. Not being able to figure out what to do, she keeps running everywhere, realizing that Qi Luo is controlling the space from outside. At that moment, the dagger that was infused with the Lion King's blood increases in size and power, giving Ling possibly the ability to tear her way through the dimension. Using the transformed longsword, she begins cutting through the walls, which shakes reality itself, making her realize that this dimension might be Qi Luo's true form and not her human body. So she activates her murdering character formula, turning her eyes blood red, and gets ready to get things over with. As she begins to cut through the walls, Qi Luo in the real world begins to feel the pain equivalent to being cut in the stomach. She realizes how much of a dangerous situation she has put herself in by letting Xiao Ling enter her dimension. So she summons all of her Yin demon soldiers inside her umbrella's dimension in order to take Ling down. Even though thousands of demons easily outnumber Ling, she still comes out as the winner as she is also somewhat overpowered, like her king. Speaking of whom, Liu Fan gets a system warning stating that Xiao Ling has entered an overloaded state, meaning that she has gone out of control. Realizing that Xiao Ling must have activated her new ability that she has no control over, Liu Fan considers the possibility that things will lead to a great disaster if Ling isn't brought back to her senses. Ling, in the meantime, completely annihilates all of the demons all by herself and wrecks the umbrella dimension, freeing herself from Qi Luo's hold. On the other side, a group of people makes their way to the Mountain of Lions while cursing the strong organization for seizing their development projects, implying that they are here to take revenge on them. One of them, whose chin looks awfully similar to my Dragon Balls, reveals his intentions to seize all of the resources in the mountains for themselves before the government can get their hands on them. As they keep moving forward, they run into Ling, who is still in frenzy mode, ready to murder anyone in plain sight. The guy with the Dragon Ball chin attacks her, presuming that she is someone from the strong organization, and instantly regrets it as Ling slices his arm off clean. But she doesn't stop there. She proceeds to take all their lives and considers having a taste of human blood. Liu Fan arrives there just in time and stops Xiao Ling from making such a mistake by roaring at her as loudly as possible. Using this single attack, he manages to neutralize her and take her unconscious body back to the base. When Ling eventually wakes up on the back of Liu Fan, she apologizes to him immediately, informing him that she has failed to defeat the Umbrella Demon. But Liu Fan reveals to her that when she went into frenzy mode, she had already dealt with the Umbrella Demon. However, the system menu recorrects Liu Fan, informing him that the Umbrella Demon's real body has managed to escape somehow. Since it cannot be helped, Liu Fan moves on and keeps walking forward when suddenly the system menu pops up again, warning him that an unusual object between his teeth is causing him discomfort. Liu Fan puts his paws inside his mouth and finds out that a piece of Qi Luo's umbrella got stuck there when he took a bite into it during their underground battle. He decides to use this piece of fragment to locate the Umbrella Demon and burns it using his life spirit, heart, and fire to establish a connection with it. After the completion, the system notifies him that he now has complete control over the Umbrella Demon, making her no longer a threat, so he decides to spare her for now. Later at the base, the Great Bear, Parrot, and Pig welcome Mai from the Strong Organization and the girl named Xuan, who infiltrated that facility back then, to their home. Apparently they are brought here by Liu Fan, who gives Shuang the unfortunate news that the exploration team from her company was completely wiped out at the foot of the mountain. However, he lies about who was behind the brutal murders, saying the Umbrella Demon was the perpetrator. Liu Fan mentions to them that he rescued a single survivor from that construction group, claiming that person to be Ling and introducing her to Shuang and Mei. All of these lies are part of a big plan by Liu Fan to make Ling gain Shuang and Mei's trust, so that she can extract vital information from them about the strong organization and the construction group. Just as planned, Shuang instantly falls for it and hugs Ling, showing her deepest sympathy for the unfortunate events she has been through. Now that Shuang's part is done, Liu Fan turns to Mei and tells her that she will have to stay at the Mountain of Lions to help him cultivate the sacred fire technique. Knowing that Mei will refuse to stay here, Liu Fan forcefully makes her stay at his cave and gets ready to practice dual cultivation later at night. Shuang and Ling decide to head back, as they no longer have any business staying here. As a departing gift, Liu Fan gives both of them a bunch of golden fruits, and to make sure that no one becomes envious, he announces that all of the treasures of his territory will be equally divided and distributed. His decision helps everyone improve their cultivation to the maximum, and soon all of the monsters in his territory will become even stronger, leading to a much bigger mountain expansion campaign. In a short amount of time, Liu Fan's strength also doubles up, and so he makes preparations to get more area in his territory for the betterment of his subjects. Ling begins working with Shuang at the construction company and becomes a spy for them to infiltrate the strong organization. On the other hand, such advancement of the Mountain of Lions alarms the arrogant king of the nearby territory, the vigorous tiger. The system awards Liu Fan with 2 body yang fragments and raises his level of accumulation strengthening skill and earth shock skill by 1 level each. Suddenly, the system alerts Liu Fan that the expanded territory has been lost, which Liu Fan finds to be rather strange as he just claimed that area. Not understanding what's going on, Liu Fan calls up the Great Black Bear, asking him if everything is going alright. The bear assures him that everything is under control, but because Liu Fan knows that the system never gives him any wrong information, he sets out to figure out himself as to what's going on. The system again pops up, warning Liu Fan that another one of his sub-territories has been infiltrated and secured by the enemy, making him realize that this unknown enemy is going to be strong. Not knowing who the enemy is, Liu Fan uses his detection skill and finds thousands of rats lurking underground. Realizing that these rats were the perpetrators behind the sudden invasion, he exterminates all of them nearby. However, it is still strange that these swarms of rats are appearing out of nowhere, making Liu Fan suspect that someone else might be behind this invasion. Meanwhile, the rats emerge where Liu Fan's main subordinates are and attack them. Even after murdering hundreds and thousands of them, the group failed to reduce the number of rats, making them realize that they stand no chance against this unconventional enemy. As if the rats weren't troublesome already, they begin to gather around and form a giant colossal rat, which begins to wreak havoc everywhere. Thankfully, the king of the jungle makes it in time to save his dear jungle, and telling his friends to get out of the way, he launches a massive attack on the colossal rat, taking it down with ease. Seeing the power of the king of the Mountain of Lions, the rats get scared and run to the underground again, seeking shelter from their own king, the vigorous tiger, who commends them for their hard work. Liu Fan uses his destructive powers again to create a ravine beneath him so that he can enter the underground and get things over with the rats. But this time his plan doesn't work, as it reveals that the rats have dug too deep and have escaped. Still, the subordinates of Liu Fan, including the green snake and the ferocious rabbits, head straight in to pursue the rats, hoping to enter their base of operations. Eventually, the green snake finds the king of the rats and assumes that if she defeats it, she will be able to exterminate all of the rats with ease. After destroying the Rat King by injecting her venom into it, the green snake loses most of her energy. But to her surprise, the giant rat wasn't the king that the rats were following, making them realize that the real king was hiding himself deliberately. Meanwhile, the rats find their way to the main veins of the spiritual energy core and start taking bites into them, making them stronger than ever. The system informs Liu Fan about it, so he quickly brings Mei by his side and asks her to find the king of the rats for him since she has expertise in luring people. However, instead of going to look for the Rat King, Mei tempts Liu Fan, showing him her juicy peach, and awakens his hidden power with her magic of lust. But unlike last time, Liu Fan controls himself and channels the sensation to connect with the spiritual energy in the ground. With this move, he manages to successfully find all of the rats and blows up all of the spiritual energy veins mildly to destroy all the rats. After successfully stopping the rat invasion, Liu Fan is finally at ease, but not for too long, as the vigorous tiger is just getting ready and summoning more of his rat army, who all eat the spirit veins on a large scale, getting ready for an all-out war. Liu Fan knows that, at this rate, he will surely lose all of his subordinates who are undergroomed, so he considers using his most secret technique. Liu Fan activates his most secret technique, demonic attribute. He was very apprehensive to use this technique because it costs him a lot of prestige points. Not only that, his dominance over his subordinates also wanes when he activates his demonic side. In exchange, he does get demonic strength, so he has no choice but to use it now. Upon activating his demonic awareness, the animals and monsters all around him immediately get suppressed. Unfortunately, it can also accidentally injure allies, which causes his subordinates like Big Bear to fall unconscious. The green snake named Xiao King emerges from below the ground upon sensing Liu Fan's demonic energy. She didn't faint because even when Liu Fan was just a small cub, he periodically sent out demonic energy, which Xiao King had gotten used to from protecting him all the time. She was about to leave again in search of the Rat King when Liu Fan stops him. Liu Fan explains that even with his demonic consciousness, he cannot detect the Rat King. Now that the Rat King had infiltrated their lion's mountain, they cannot destroy their own home looking for it. Liu Fan's demonic power should be able to suppress the Rat King for a while, so Liu Fan has another plan in mind. He leads Xiao King away and into the forest. Liu Fan knows that the mission that his system gave him was to expand his territory, not to fight with the rats. And when he completes his mission, he can activate his skills, create life, and move mountain. These skills should be able to expel the rats from Lion's Mountain. Thus, to expel the rats, he just has to complete his mission. And the key to completing his mission is by conquering the White Tiger Ridge. The White Tiger senses Liu Fan's approach and he roars out a challenge. All the animals also roar out their encouragement with the two rulers' battle. Liu Fan and Xiao King race across the mountain on their way to the White Tiger. Meanwhile, the White Tiger also runs throughout the land to face them. When they finally reach the battlefield, they stop and take a few moments to observe each other. The White Tiger recognizes that Liu Fan is a truly extraordinary beast and a very strong opponent. At the same time, Liu Fan observes that his life is getting more and more complicated. Spiritual energy is getting revived all around him, his tasks are constantly changing, and now his system is even giving him the main missions. Liu Fan and the White Tiger let out their roars at the same time, sending out shockwaves of energy. The blue and yellow energy collides in the middle and ends up exploding with a huge force. The explosion was so powerful, in fact, that it knocked out most of the animals in the area. Both rulers realize that each other must also be a demon to have such power. White Tiger looks at all his unconscious followers and remarks that weaklings can't even be cannon fodder. Followed by his two remaining subordinates, a tortoise and a heron, the White Tiger walks across the battlefield and approaches Liu Fan. When he was near enough, White Tiger pointed out to Liu Fan that they had enjoyed years of truce and harmony. So why is Liu Fan starting a war right now? Liu Fan replies that he's just doing his job, and the war finally and truly starts when the two kings charge. White Tiger leaps in the air and descends at Liu Fan with his mighty paws. However, Liu Fan carefully keeps his eyes on his opponent's claws and uppercuts the tiger with his own. The White Tiger gets blown back, and he asks Liu Fan how he can counter his attacks. Logically, the White Tiger thinks that the lion should just bear his quick attacks. Meanwhile, Liu Fan is standing on his hind legs and is brandishing his front legs like they are arms. His experience from being a human in his past life is proving to be very helpful in this regard. White Tiger also notices that Liu Fan's aura is recovering very fast, so he cannot look down on the lion anymore. The two clash once more, and this time, Liu Fan reels back from getting swiped by White Tiger. The powerful attack makes Liu Fan wonder if White Tiger has the same powers as him. He attacks again, managing to land another blow on White Tiger. White Tiger decides to change the battle into one of speed, and they chase each other throughout the battlefield. They are so quick that they look like lightning bolts running on the ground. It was the first time that Liu Fan had ever fought such a strong enemy, and he sent out fire attacks from his claws. White Tiger also acknowledges the lion's strong defense, and he tries attacking with his lightning bolts. The two attacks meet in the middle again, and the two cats fight to get an advantage over the other. Xiao King watches their two rulers battle, and she realizes that she cannot join them. However, she still wants to help her king. She transforms into a large dragon and breathes a beam of energy at White Tiger. However, the energy explodes against something before it can even reach the two felines fighting. When the dust settles, it turns out that the enemy tortoise had also transformed himself into an ancient dinosaur and blocked the attack with his hard shell. Above Shao King, the heron also speaks and points out that Shao King can try to fight, but she won't survive. The heron then dive bombs Shao King and creates a tornado of red fire which engulfs the green snake. Liu Fan screams out to his subordinate in trouble, but he suddenly feels eyes all over him. White Tiger criticizes Liu Fan for getting distracted and he pounces on Liu Fan's side. Liu Fan gets blown away by the impact and bounces a few times. When he finally stops and stands on shaking legs, Liu Fan realizes that he already used 50% of his power and he is barely keeping up with White Tiger. Is he really about to lose? But that's not the end of Liu Fan's troubles. He also noticed that his strength, speed, and mana stats are now locked and have lower numbers. In the distance, White Tiger asks Liu Fan if he's afraid of him. If he is, then he will never defeat White Tiger. This is thanks to White Tiger's skill. He then attacks again, completely shocking and overwhelming Liu Fan. Ever since ancient times, the mighty had dominated and oppressed the vulnerable. This means that feeble creatures are supposed to succumb to the powerful. Regardless of their superiority in strength, intellect, or size, the oppressor will always be in control as long as the assaulted is afraid. This habit is passed down through the generations until it is deeply ingrained in every animal in the world. This power also manifests as the White Tiger's ability, that as long as his opponent is afraid, the king would never be defeated. Tortoise continues to explain White Tiger's legendary ability to Shao King. Meanwhile, as Liu Fan and White Tiger's clash continues, Liu Fan notices the effects of his diminished status points. He realizes that he is slowly getting defeated and decides to put some distance between them. He gallops away from White Tiger, but White Tiger also knows that he has the upper hand. Lightning courses through his legs, his muscles bulge, and a pair of wings sprout behind White Tiger as he gives chase to Liu Fan. Liu Fan was shocked yet jealous at the same time when he saw White Tiger's new form. The flying White Tiger quickly catches up to Liu Fan, who is still dealing with his locked status points. Shao King cries out for her king when she sees his predicament. She quickly weaves past her tortoise opponent in the hope of getting in White Tiger's way and giving Liu Fan some reprieve. However, the tortoise isn't just sitting still. He activates his skill and dark green water spreads from underneath him. When it touches Shao King starts sinking in the water and she can feel her strength getting sapped away. But Shao King isn't just a snake any longer but a dragon, so she instead runs towards the sky. The tortoise acknowledges Shao King's ability to escape, but now it's his companion, the heron's time to shine. Shao King rotates its long body and tries to slam the heron with her tail, but instead of dodging, the heron speeds up and pierces through her tail. The heron then boasts how her beak is harder than diamond and can cut through anything. If the tortoise is White Tiger's shield, then the heron is White Tiger's spear. No one can win against them. Shao King changes tactics and instead of attacking, she uses her dragon ability to create an illusion. Dark stormy clouds started filling up the sky and the tortoise's eyesight was blocked. When he could finally see again, Shao King had already wrapped her long dragon body all over him. She then bites into his shell, but the tortoise just laughs and boasts how hard his shell is. But Shao King isn't done yet. The dragon then turns into a snake and flips the tortoise down. The tortoise then realizes that Shao King isn't really there and he is just under an illusion. He tries to get up and dispel the illusion, but his turtle form makes this very hard to do. Meanwhile, Heron sees the tortoise getting attacked by the snake and comes flying to help him. Flames wrap all around the heron as she activates her skill for an attack. The tortoise tries to shout out that the snake is just an illusion, but it's already too late. The heron's beak drills a hole right into them. The heron lands on the ground after landing that dreadful attack. By the time she stops, the illusion dissipates and the dark clouds overhead have already disappeared. When she looked behind her, she was horrified to see that she was under an illusion all along and she had just decapitated her turtle brother. Up above the clouds, Shao King taunts her and compliments her truly sharp beak. The death of the tortoise meant that their defenses are now shattered, so Shao King charges her energy breath for another attack. Heron tries to dodge, but she lands directly next to the tortoise and his black water is still in effect. She cannot use her powers anymore. This made it easy for Shao King to score a direct hit on Heron and completely pulverize her. After her own battle is done, Su Ling realizes that she still needs to help Her Majesty. She pivots towards the clouds created by White Tiger and Liu Fan's battle and tries to fly towards it. Unfortunately, her powers had already been exhausted, and she fell back to the ground unconscious and in her original snake form. Meanwhile, Liu Fan is sitting inside his golden lion shield thinking, while the White Tiger pelts him with attacks. Liu Fan is finding it strange that although his status is locked, he can still activate his skills. Meanwhile, White Tiger is getting super annoyed at Liu Fan's golden shield. No matter what he does, his claws couldn't even scratch on the shield. He's also getting annoyed that his ability isn't making Liu Fan more afraid of him. When he fought other strong monsters, they all bowed in the end when he activated his powers. Liu Fan tries to ask White Tiger if he has a system too, but White Tiger has no idea what a system even is. He thinks Liu Fan is just making fun of him for failing to destroy his shield, so White Tiger howls into the air. This activates another part of his ability and storm clouds start gathering overhead. Liu Fan's golden mane rises in the air as static electricity fills up their surroundings. White Tiger was confident that this time, the lion would surely be defeated. A huge column of lightning then descends into the ground as White Tiger activates his ultimate thunder technique, Great Thunderstorm. The column of lightning hits the ground in a tremendous burst of power, and Liu Fan tries to hold his ground. White Tiger screams at him to die, and Liu Fan is finally washed away by the white light. When the attack finally ended, all that's left on the ground was a huge crater. In the middle of this crater is a golden ball of energy. White Tiger wonders if Liu Fan melted into the golden ball due to the lightning's high temperature. But to his confusion, the golden ball abruptly floats into the sky and starts flying somewhere else. The ball floats towards Liu Fan, who is flying in the air looking down at him, and now in another form. Liu Fan now has a single large protruding horn in his forehead, and golden armor adorns his shoulders, leg, and face. Liu Fan was amazed at all of these surprising turn of events. Using the increased heat flow generated by White Tiger's attack and the water vapor that came from the battle between Su Ling and the tortoise, the perfect condition for a thunderstorm was formed. Liu Fan's metallic nature allowed him to be conductive, which helped him get through the electricity. White Tiger questions him about the golden ball, so Liu Fan explains that it is his devil pill. The thunderstorm that was formed allowed him to access it, and it gave him a new host of skills, including Thunder Flash. Let's go back to moments before White Tiger's great thunderstorm hit. Liu Fan was at his wit's end as he gazed at the clouds of lightning White Tiger is creating. He is wondering what he should do when his system suddenly opens a status window in front of him. The system had detected the presence of strong electrical energy and asked Liu Fan if Tianden should be injected into him. Liu Fan then realizes that his stats must be actually locked earlier because the system has been storing his status numbers in his Danshan or energy center. The system then used this stored energy to nurture a demonic pill. Liu Fan smiles as he realizes that he can also use the energy from White Tiger's current attack. Thus, he faced the column of lightning head on which brought us to the current state of events. Liu Fan thanks White Tiger for his electrifying strike that filled his demonic energy to the brim and manifested it into reality in the form of the demonic pill. Down in the ground, White Tiger shouts at him to come back down so they can continue the fight. When Liu Fan didn't, White Tiger flew into the air and charged towards Liu Fan. Liu Fan chuckles since he is confident that he can take on White Tiger in his new form. But shockingly, White Tiger's paw slaps him across the face like Will Smith, and he gets blasted back down into the ground. Liu Fan shakes his head as he tries to understand what just happened. He looked at his status screen and was confused to see that his status points are all still locked up. He wonders how this could be when he already condensed his golden core into reality. He then remembers how the tortoise had explained that White Tiger's power is to make his foes weaken after they get scared of him. He then also recalls how Manhwa explained that her powers of seduction allows her to control any male that falls under her power. Meanwhile, White Tiger continues to bombard Liu Fan with attacks. He doesn't care that Liu Fan has a demonic pill or whatever, he just keeps blasting him with energy blasts. In response, Liu Fan uses his new power, Metal Extension. Golden metal liquid emerges from his demonic pill and creates metal bars that block White Tiger's attacks. Liu Fan smirks, then tells White Tiger that even though he is weakened by White Tiger's intimidation, his skill doesn't seem to work on creatures that aren't alive to begin with. Liu Fan then changes the metal liquid into vines which start wrapping around White Tiger's limbs. White Tiger struggles to free himself from the golden vines, but Liu Fan ignites it in fire, which then spreads and starts burning White Tiger. He screams in pain and wonders if he's about to lose. But in the distance, White Tiger sees his salvation. It was the Rat King. The Rat King had finally woken up from Liu Fan's earlier demonic attack, and he saw that White Tiger in danger. Liu Fan immediately feels it when Rat King's army had once again started to nibble on the Earth's energy veins back in Lion Mountain. He has to finish White Tiger before he loses more of his power. White Tiger, on the other hand, smiles as he sees Liu Fan doubling over in pain. He knows that Liu Fan and the Lion Mountain are connected in some way, so as long as the Rat King's army continues to damage the mountain, Liu Fan would be in pain. White Tiger shouts at the Rat King to continue his assault, but his shout brings the Rat King to Liu Fan's attention too. He looks at the rat on the ground, and to their surprise, they recognize each other. A few years ago, the Rat King was just a normal rat and was running through the mountain. The green snake was pursuing him, and he decided to head into a cave to hide. Inside the cave, he sees a sleeping lion and decides to hide in its mane. This lion was Liu Fan. However, Liu Fan wakes up when the green snake enters the cave shouting for its prey. When Liu Fan learns that it's looking for a mouse hiding on his mane, he fishes around his mane and pulls out the mouse. He compliments the mouse for having the courage to even climb up on his body. The green snake clucked and tells the mouse that he's now the king's prey. She then tells him to dig in, making the mouse freeze in fear. The mouse stares at the lion holding him by the tail with fear in his eyes. With his shaky voice, he begs Liu Fan to spare him from his claws and jaws. Liu Fan freaks out upon hearing the mouse speak, and he accidentally drops him. He points out to the snake that the mouse had already unlocked its spiritual potential, allowing him to speak. Thus, he cannot eat it anymore. The snake asks if Liu Fan likes the mouse cooked or something, but Liu Fan explains that now that the mouse had mutated under the influence of spiritual energy, it is already sapient like them, and they shouldn't eat each other. Upon hearing his kind words, the mouse prostrates himself on the floor and profusely thanks Liu Fan for sparing his life. In exchange, he promises to do whatever it takes to repay him. However, Liu Fan has no use for the mouse, so he just dismisses him and orders him to play outside. Back in the present, the Rat King apologizes to Liu Fan. He then promises to pay him back now for sparing his life all those years ago. The Rat King touches his forehead in intense concentration and focuses his magic outward. He then telepathically links to all the rats in the Lion Mountain and orders them all to come back. White Tiger is angered by this turn of events. He angrily shouts at the Rat King for calling off the attack. Blood starts pouring out of the Rat King's nose. White Tiger laughs since he knows that the Rat King is still under the effect of his demonic power. If he tries to break free from his hold, then it would end in the Rat King's death. Liu Fan looks kindly at the Rat King and tells him that he doesn't need to do anything anymore. He then turns towards White Tiger and exclaims that a true king is one who protects his subordinates. He is the one whom his people adore and worship, and right now he is the one who is that. He angrily glares at White Tiger and reminds him that kings don't rely on threats or oppressions. They don't discard the weak. Liu Fan then roars mightily, sending out a shockwave of energy. White Tiger roars too, releasing a similar attack. Their shockwaves meet in the middle and try to push each other out of the way, but both kings just grit their teeth and concentrate. Meanwhile, the Rat King is also still concentrating and preventing himself from fainting. If he gets knocked out, his rat army would go berserk and they would lose. He reminds himself that just like these two felines battling it out, he is also a king. A few moments later, Liu Fan's roar proves to be stronger and their attacks explode in a blinding white light. When it dissipates, all that's left is the barren, pockmarked ground and White Tiger lying unconscious. Liu Fan stands mightily as his system congratulates him on his victory. As a reward, he gained the whole eastern region of White Tiger Ridge. The expansion of his territory means that he also completed his mission, gaining him multiple rewards from pieces of Yang energy fragments to new skills. After reading all of his notifications, Liu Fan notices that the Rat King is still sending out telepathic commands to his army. Meanwhile, back at Lion Mountain, Big Bear and Liu Fan's other animal subordinates have awakened. To their confusion, they notice that all the mice underground are now running out of the crevices and retreating. Liu Fan smiles at Rat King and is about to return to his base when someone shouts at him to stop. To Liu Fan's surprise, it was White Tiger. Liu Fan panics since he's already exhausted and cannot fight anymore. But surprisingly, White Tiger just admits that he had lost completely. Since victory belongs to the king, the defeated should follow him. He then announces that Liu Fan is now the king of White Tiger Ridge and White Tiger would be his queen. Both Liu Fan and the Rat King are shocked to find out that White Tiger is not in fact a tiger but a tigress. White Tiger then tells them that they can call her tigress and asks for Liu Fan's name. Liu Fan is already feeling overwhelmed by these new developments, so he just raises his paw in surrender. Meanwhile, a new notification from the system tells him that Tigress had just given him the whole White Tiger Mountain. In another part of the region, a group of humans are investigating the entrance of the place called Red Umbrella Ruins. This group includes Su Ling and Shuang, the girls that Liu Fan sent out to spy outside Lion Mountain. The two girls gaze at the ruins entrance and wonder what mystery and wonder awaits inside. Surrounded by their team members, Su Ling and Shuang enter the cave. Shuang draws her gun and points it ahead of them, ready for any threat that they might face. Another member, a guy named Zhu Tao, suddenly forces her gun down and warns her that she shouldn't be trigger happy. He explains that she might accidentally set off traps if she's not careful. Zhu Tao is also a member of the Kang Shuang group and is a B-level awakener. He flexes his biceps and tells Shuang that they don't need weapons. Their spiritual energy would reign supreme. Zhu Tao then puts his arm around the two girls' shoulders and promises to protect them. However, Su Ling immediately warns him that if he touches her, she will chop off his arm. Thankfully, their team captain scolds and smacks Zhu Tao for his creepiness. Wang Chong, an A-level awakener, reminds everyone that the earlier group who explored this ruin ended in a total disaster, so they should all remain alert. The group finally reached the end of the tunnel after a lot of trekking. The end appears to be a large, colorful stone blocking the way. Confusingly, their radar further detects a massive chamber deeper inside the ruins. Their confusion vanishes when the large stone suddenly rolls, threatening to crush them all. People immediately run out of the stone's way, but two people don't move. It was Zhu Tao and Wang Chong. Zhu Tao wraps his hand in spiritual energy and catches the stone in an attempt to stop it. The stone's massive weight continues to push Zhu Tao despite him buckling his feet into the ground. However, Zhu Tao just laughs it off and activates his power. Zhu Tao suddenly transforms into a demon pig and with his enhanced strength, renews his effort to stop the massive boulder. The two girls giggle at Zhu Tao's new look. Meanwhile, Zhu Tao lifts the boulder overhead and throws it back down into the ground. The impact causes the boulder to open, revealing its true nature as a rolled-up bug. Zhu Tao looks with disgust at the bug corpse, but new problems soon show up. Bats bites Zhu Tao in the shoulder and attempts to fly off with him, but Shuang and her gun make quick work of the bats, blasting them into pieces with her spiritual bullets. Zhu Tao was surprised that Shuang saved him and he looks at her creepily, wondering if she likes him. However, Wang Chong just orders him to move already. With the bug's death, their path to the ruins are finally clear and a mysterious building greets them. Girls call out from the buildings welcoming the guests, further confusing everyone and making Su Ling wonder what in the world is happening. Of course, Zhu Tao immediately gets smitten by the beautiful girls calling out to him. He was rushing toward the building when Wang Chong stepped in front of him and stopped him. It was too suspicious for Wang Chong. However, Zhu Tao didn't want to stop and readily seized the girls as his just reward for winning the fight against the beetles earlier. He pushes through Wang Chong and a woman happily hugs him. Wang Chong was surprised and wondered when the woman had approached them when he didn't even see them move. The building still seems so far away, but the other male members of his team already have girls in their arms. Wang Chong stares angrily yet inquisitively at the girls while Zhu Tao is already slobbering all over the woman in his arms. The woman smiles wickedly and a strange aura starts leaking out of Zhu Tao. When his aura starts getting sucked into the woman, Zhu Tao's eyes widen. He realizes that the woman is literally sucking his life energy away. He yells out to his captain to save him, but he is already losing weight and looking like a skeleton. The other male team members are also falling down dead after their life energy got sucked out. One male team member attacks the woman, but the woman also sucks his life energy out. Wang Chong tries to intervene with an attack of his own, but another woman blocks his way and attempts to seduce him. Wang Chong swings his electrified fists at her, forcing her to move back. He activates his skill, Bloodline of the Iron Man, to resist the women's evil seduction. However, the girls just giggle and start seducing him with his body. All of Wang Chong's blood flows down to his lower part, forcing Wang Chong's skill to deactivate. Meanwhile, Su Ling stares at the dangerous building and women and realizes that they are very close to Lion Mountain. If they don't do anything, this would endanger Liu Fan and the others. She decides to leave and report what they discovered to Liu Fan, but one of the women grabs her hand. Su Ling pulls her hand back, but Su Ling's spirit essence was left still being clutched by the woman. This makes Su Ling wonder if these women are just like her, a spirit with a physical body. However, the girls just smile at her and ask her to not leave as their sister. Back at Lion Mountain, Liu Fan is looking disappointedly at his companion, White Tiger, who keeps showing him her behind. She urges him to mate with her so that they can create the mightiest of champions. When Liu Fan doesn't react, White Tiger disappointedly asks him if he was just after her territory, the White Tiger Ridge after all. Liu Fan looks away in shame, but assures her that he also likes her, not just her territory. He is just shy with physical intimacy. This makes White Tiger just more touchy, volunteering herself to take the lead and teach Liu Fan whatever he needs to learn in the art of mating. Liu Fan was thankfully saved from more embarrassing moments by the fire spirit, Xiao Zhu, bursting from a nearby lantern and exclaiming that they have an emergency. White Tiger was surprised by a talking flame, while Xiao Zhu just transforms into her human body and shows Liu Fan the flame in her hand. She then pleads to him that they have to destroy the flame in Su Ling's heart. Liu Fan curses and asks Xiao Zhu if Su Ling is in danger. He casts magic on the flame to determine the location of Su Ling's body. Meanwhile, White Tiger is demanding to know who Xiao Zhu or Su Ling is. After learning Su Ling's location, Liu Fan realizes that they might have to leave Lion Mountain and go to another ancient ruin. He uses one of his Yang body fragments to give himself a human body. When White Tiger sees his new body, she realizes why Liu Fan didn't want to mate earlier at all, even though they were both felines. Liu Fan was more at ease in his human form. Liu Fan tells White Tiger to stay put while he and Xiao Zhu head out to Su Ling's location. But White Tiger has no intention of just sitting still. She wants to make Liu Fan obsess over him. Back at the Red Umbrella ruins, Su Ling is getting dragged around by the woman. When they pass near Shuang, the woman also grabs hold of Shuang and flies with them in tow. She then heads over to the suspicious building and deposits them there, leaving the empty husks of men outside. The interior of the buildings was full of women who immediately jumped over to Su Ling and Shuang. They happily offer to help them and treat them like new members, but Su Ling's eyes are still wandering around the new location. On the second level, she spots someone they knew. It was the Umbrella Demon Lady who attacked them in Lion Mountain. The Demon Lady recognizes her too, and Su Ling didn't even hesitate. She manifests her sword and jumps up to attack the Umbrella Demon. The Demon Lady summons her umbrella and jumps down from the second level to meet her attack. Su Ling was surprised that the Umbrella Lady was still alive, while the Umbrella Lady praised her courage for chasing her all the way there. They slice, swipe, and try to hit each other with their respective weapons, filling the air inside the building with dangerous attacks. Shuang was amazed to see the level of the fight. She couldn't even follow their movements with her eyes. She was also amazed to learn that Su Ling is actually also an awakener. Meanwhile, the other woman cries out to them to stop fighting each other. If they don't, they would have to alert the sect master. The whole building shakes when someone orders the Demon Lady to stop. The aura of this new person was so powerful that everyone couldn't help but look at her when she entered. It was the ancient ruins pavilion master Bai Luo. The Demon Lady, who is called Quiluo, bows to her, and the other women also show their respect. Meanwhile, Su Ling is struggling to even look at Bu Ling. Her aura was so thick that Su Ling feels like she is suffocating. Judging by her aura, this new enemy seems to have over 1,000 years of cultivation. If she even tries to fight this monster, her very soul would be disintegrated and scattered to the winds. She decides to clasp her hand together and bow respectfully to Bu Ling. Su Ling apologizes to her for intruding in her abode and asks if they can leave unharmed. Meanwhile, Shuang chimes in, waving a flag and remarking that they are just peacefully touring the place. Bu Ling laughs while looking at them. They are so cute that she allows them to leave. However, they must first do one thing. She wants them to free her. Su Ling looks curiously and asks her what she means. Bu Ling explains to Su Ling that currently, her soul is bound to the pavilion they're in right now, and Su Ling has the power to free her. Quiluo speaks up and tells Bu Ling that she is expecting too much from Su Ling. Su Ling gets offended and argues that just because Quiluo failed doesn't mean Su Ling cannot do it. They are about to brawl again when Bu Ling calls out to them to follow her. Bu Ling then starts telling the girls her story. She used to be a young lady from a wealthy family, but due to their family getting involved in a rebellion, she ended up there. The pavilion they're in right now used to be a place where women entertain their clients. However, Bu Ling didn't want to sell herself. She wanted to leave this world pure and untarnished. She was about to take her own life when a new person abruptly barged into her room at the pavilion. As soon as she laid her eyes on this person, she was instantly in love. The man was also a member of a rich family and on his way to take the imperial examination. However, his unsavory classmates ended up dragging him along to have fun with girls in the pavilion. But during the man's stay in her room, he didn't even try to touch her. They just spent the hours talking about the past, the present, reciting poetry, and playing instruments with each other. He was a man of knowledge, scholar of books, and a gentleman. Before Bu Ling could even realize, her heart was captured. The man was even willing to marry her, and they end the night in a grateful hug filled with love for each other. The only problem was the money. The man didn't have enough money to buy Bu Ling out of the pavilion. He had no choice but to beg his classmates for loans, and he pleaded with all his heart for the pavilion madam to keep Bu Ling off the market. After getting the madam a down payment, the man leaves to earn more money. For Bu Ling, he leaves behind his heirloom umbrella as a token of their love. However, the madam didn't keep her promise. Bu Ling was still left in the list of girls in the pavilion and was forced to take clients. This ended up with her getting in an altercation with one of her clients and accidentally murdering him. Trapped in a never-ending cycle of calamity, Bu Ling decided to end her suffering. Unbeknownst to her, the umbrella that her lover left her had a spirit inside. Bu Ling's resentment echoed in the umbrella and transformed the spirit into a malevolent one. That's where Qiluo came from, but that's not where the story ended. When the man came back, he achieved all of his dreams. He had the highest honors in literature and martial arts, and also became a general. When he learned of Bu Ling's passing and how the madam betrayed him, he slaughtered everyone in the pavilion and burned it down in flames. The man then consulted a monk who created a protective shield guarding Bu Ling's body using a holy book. Not only did the shield keep her body from decaying, it also prevented her spirit from scattering in the wind. Afterward, the man searched tirelessly for a way to resurrect Bu Ling. Unfortunately, he never found a solution and died hugging Bu Ling's coffin. But a burst of spiritual energy allowed Bu Ling to abandon her mortal form and transcend into a divine spirit. Thus, she is now a ground-bound spirit. As for the other girls in the pavilion, they were the ladies sacrificed by the man, and now their souls are trapped with Bu Ling, serving as extensions of her will. She cannot leave the pavilion, so she uses the girls to absorb the sun's energy and bring it back to nourish her. Su Ling remarks that earthbound spirits are usually born because of lingering resentment from unfulfilled wishes. Does that mean that Su Ling just needs to help Bu Ling fulfill her final wish? She asks Bu Ling if she wants to see her lover again, but Bu Ling replies no. She had already lived for thousands of years, and she has no more interests in men. What she wants is for Su Ling to remove the holy book that is creating the shield over her body. She even offers Su Ling the holy book as a reward and volunteers to be part of Liu Fan's group. Bu Ling leads everyone to her coffin while explaining that Qiluo is still connected to her. Since Qiluo was born from her anger and resentment, Bu Ling can still experience everything that Qiluo goes through. From a certain perspective, they can actually be considered as just being a different version of one person. Su Ling inquires whether this means that Bu Ling also committed the crimes Qiluo did at Lion Mountain. Bu Ling defends Qiluo's action by pointing out that Qiluo was just using the tunnels to practice her techniques. It was Liu Fan's subordinates who broke into it and intruded on her domain. She was actually just defending herself. Technically, Qiluo already existed for thousands of years, so it was Liu, who just became king recently, who is the intruder. Nevertheless, Bu Ling just wants to forget everything. She doesn't want more enemies but allies. Su Ling agrees and steps toward the coffin. Xuan was entranced by the woman seemingly sleeping inside, and she compliments Bu Ling's beauty. Su Ling was about to pick up the holy book on top of the coffin, creating the shield, but when her hand is inches away from the book vanishes. This confuses Su Ling, but the book appears again after a few seconds. She wonders if it's a mirage and she looks at Bu Ling questioningly. Qiluo looks disappointedly at them and explains that Su Ling needs to tap into her heritage to touch the book. The book has the power to cage Bu Ling's restless spirit and body, so it exists in the realm between life and death. Since Su Ling's heritage is all about transforming her soul into a radiant being, then she should be able to touch it. Su Ling points out that she can only transform herself and not something she touches, so this might be impossible. However, the coffin shield feels the intrusion and the whole building starts shaking. Qilu scolds them for not telling them earlier it might be impossible. Now that they have intruded on the coffin, the book's defense mechanism and traps will now activate. Su Ling and Xuang freak out that there are more traps after all they've been through. Outside of the room, the other women open the door, their eyes gleaming with red wickedness. The group finally realizes what these defense mechanisms are when the women start attacking them in waves. Qilu and Su Ling fights back against the women while Xuang fires her spirit gun. However, the spirit gun doesn't seem to have any effect on the women. One woman was about to pounce on Xuang, but Qilu manages to save her at the last second and swats the woman away with her umbrella. Qilu asks Bu Ling if she can command the women to stand down, but Bu Ling explains that the only thing holding the women back was the holy book. At the moment, she has no more control over them. The only way to escape their predicament is if they can retrieve the holy book. Qilu snaps at Su Ling in anger and exclaims how she always makes things worse. However, Bu Ling orders them to calm down. She urges Su Ling to try again at retrieving the book while the others defend their position. Su Ling approaches the coffin once again and stares at the book on top of it. She recalls her transformation and remembers a spell back then that might be useful. Upon activating the spell, her eyes start glowing. With her new eyes, Su Ling was able to see that the holy book's real focal point and location was right inside Bu Ling's belly. This surprised Qilu and the others, but Bu Ling just urges her to bring the book out. Qilu protests this decision since Su Ling might accidentally damage Bu Ling's real body. However, Bu Ling was willing to take the chance. She tells Qilu that the past is already just a memory, and she just wants to break free now. She urges Su Ling to continue and Su Ling agrees with her. Su Ling activates her heritage and turns her hand into a spirit. This allows it to pass through Bu Ling's body unharmed. When she finally touches the book, she pulls it out and wills it to turn tangible once again. With great concentration, she succeeded and the holy book is finally off the coffin. The shield surrounding the coffin immediately breaks, and to Su Ling's surprise, the whole coffin and the body inside starts disintegrating into nothingness. Bu Ling assures her that she already predicted this might happen, but all they need to do now is escape. However, Qilu points out that escaping might not be that simple. Destroying the shield didn't even slow down the women attacking them. In fact, they seem to be attacking with even greater ferocity now. One woman manages to slip through Qilu's umbrella, but thankfully, Xuang's masterful sharpshooting skills blows the woman's head off. Su Ling then picks up Xuang and the girls start their escape. Behind them, the women transform into vengeful spirits and chase after them. They soon reach the ruins exit and they can see the light spilling from outside. Bu Ling looks apprehensive, but she smiles when she is finally able to leave the ruins for the first time in her life. However, her happiness was interrupted when Su Ling abruptly threw Xuang into her arms. Su Ling orders them to run away into safety. As for her, she has to stay behind. The wicked demons are about to exit the ruin, and releasing them right near Lion Mountain would be disastrous to everyone. Thus, she brandishes her sword and prepares to fight. Bu Ling calmly assesses her and steps forward. The whole situation is her fault to begin with, so she can't just watch from the sidelines. Since Bu Ling isn't leaving, Qilu of course volunteers to stay also. As for Xuang, she's just a normal person, so she waves them good luck and asks if they can first get her to safety. The army of wicked demons are about to escape the cave when a newcomer arrives at the scene. This newcomer sucks in a deep breath and releases a loud roar, blasting the demons to smithereens. Liu Fan then asks them if they're okay, and Su Ling couldn't help but cry with happiness. Bu Ling stares at the muscled back of Liu Fan and notices that he is already 10 times stronger than when he fought with Qilu. Even though she has thousands of years of cultivation, she knows that making the king her enemy would be a nightmare. Meanwhile, Qilu has no qualms in slapping Liu Fan and shouts at him that they are all still spirits. If Liu Fan wasn't careful, he could have killed them earlier with his roar. Liu Fan grabs Qilu by the cheeks and asks if she still doesn't appreciate how he spared her the last time they fought. Bu Ling bows in respect to Liu Fan and introduces herself. After Su Ling introduces everyone to each other, Bu Ling explains to Liu Fan that each ancient ruin has its own owner with the power of inheritance. This includes the coffin in the terrifying forest or the holy book in the Red Umbrella ruins. Since Lion's Mountain is also considered one of these ancient ruins, she wonders what kind of lineage or legacy Liu Fan inherited. Liu Fan thinks it over, and he wonders if the system is considered a legacy. Or is the Lion Mountain owned by Xiao Zhu since she was the first one there? He wanted to ask Xiao Zhu, but she looks more confused than he is, so he guessed that she probably didn't inherit any special skill or knowledge. Bu Ling accepts his silence as an answer to her question and continues to explain what's happening around them. The spiritual energy is also revitalizing the region and causing ancient forces within the ruins to awaken. This means that these ancient forces would end up clashing with each other and vie for dominance. Su Ling speaks up and shares that in her investigation at Changxing Corporation, she also noticed that these ancient forces are involved with human world corporations. Within the organization, only the most exceptional individuals are then granted a martial inheritance, giving them the title Martial Master and assigning them a level of expertise. These warriors further enhance their abilities thanks to these granted powers. Unfortunately, Su Ling had to keep a low profile, so she wasn't able to get in touch with the most notorious gangsters named Wu Jikadu. Liu Fan pats her on the head and assures her that she had done well. Unfortunately, the strong corporation doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon since they send out the expedition to the Red Umbrella ruins. Now even Lion Mountain is getting implicated in their mess. Bu Ling points out that both her pavilion and Lion Mountain are linked by the Earth's energy, so they should just team up. Meanwhile, Qilu doesn't care and just wants to murder any puny humans who try to attack them. Liu Fan asks her if she can fight heat-based weapons, planes, or tanks. In fact, humans also have nuclear bombs, so they should still be careful. Qilu has no idea what those words mean, but Bu Ling has a different idea. She has a way to conceal their Earth's energy veins. Liu Fan's eyes widen at this rare ability, so Bu Ling clarifies that she can create a barrier around the veins of the land to conceal the flowing spirit within it. This way, the humans wouldn't know about the rich spiritual energy in their area. Liu Fan looks suspiciously at Bu Ling because he still doesn't trust her. Bu Ling notices this, so she asks Su Ling for the book and transforms Qilu into an umbrella. She then kneels and offers both items to Liu Fan. The system immediately opens a new notification window in front of Liu Fan asking him if he wants to bind the ghost Bu Ling to him. Liu Fan doesn't really want to, but Bu Ling's offer is too good to pass up. He happily accepts both gifts. Liu Fan tried to read the book, but its pages were empty. He laughs when the system gives him more intelligence points, allowing him to see the words on the page. What he reads surprises Liu Fan. Meanwhile, in a nearby mountain ridge, White Tiger is watching Liu Fan talk to the girls and she walks away. When Liu Fan arrives back at Lion Mountain, he calls to White Tiger, but White Tiger is nowhere to be seen in their cave. He was wondering if she had already left when a pungent odor assaulted his nose. He follows his nose to find pee stains on the floor and scratches all over the wall. Angry and annoyed, he screams for White Tiger to come back and clean his house. Bu Ling and the other girls enter his cave to ask why he's shouting, but Liu Fan quickly denies them entry and pushes them out. He'd rather talk to them outside and away from his dirty house. Later, Liu Fan announces to all his subordinates that Bu Ling and the other girls are now their trusted allies. Big Bear tries to protest since they fought with the Umbrella Demon Lady, but Liu Fan explains their current situation. Down the mountain, various factions are eyeing Lion Mountain and planning to invade it. These girls have a secret technique to conceal the entire Lion's Mountain, so they desperately need them. Bu Ling speaks up and points out that that's not entirely true. She doesn't actually have a technique, but she knows of the way to do it. This procedure is also considered a legacy of another ancient ruin. Liu Fan was surprised to just hear about this now, but Qilu points out that this ancient ruin is the burial ground of a legendary monk from 1,000 years ago. This monk is also one of the people who sealed Bu Ling when she died. Thankfully, this ancient ruin is not far, just 200 miles away from Lion Mountain. A few days later, Liu Fan and his group travels toward this ancient ruin, but a wide river separates them from their goal. The river was so wide that Liu Fan could barely see the other side. He wishes that they could have brought his subordinate parrot with him so it could have flown and assessed the river. Qilu tells them that this river wasn't actually here a millennia ago. The revival of spiritual energy combined with the passage of time had changed the landscape. Su Ling cannot also just fly above the river since it's daytime and her ghost powers won't work. Thus, she instead removes her clothes and volunteers to swim over and test the river's depth. She assures Liu Fan of her swimming capabilities before jumping into the water. Big Bear asks Liu Fan why he wasn't the one swimming, but Liu Fan points out that readers would rather see Su Ling swim than a wet bear. Meanwhile, dark shadows start congregating under the swooning Su Ling. She was then suddenly thrown high into the air, and when she was about to fall, the large open mouth of a crocodile awaits her. The others can only watch in stunned silence as Su Ling gets swallowed whole by the crocodile. After overcoming their shock, Liu Fan removes his cloak and jumps into the water. To his frustration, he continues to swim despite his efforts at swimming. Liu Fan then remembers that his body is now made of gold, so compared to his human body, this body has zero buoyancy, which means he will sink like a rock. Meanwhile, more and more shadows are encircling Liu Fan, waiting for him to drown. One of the crocodiles couldn't wait anymore and chomps on Liu Fan. Liu Fan braces himself against the crocodile's mouth, preventing it from closing its mouth. He then grabs it by the tail and starts spinning it like a turbine. The now dizzy crocodile was then used as a club to hit the other crocodiles trying to get closer. When Liu Fan stops, he readies himself as the crocodiles prepare for another charge. However, the crocodiles just swim past him and Liu Fan realizes that they aren't targeting him. Instead, they are targeting everyone else ashore. Liu Fan realizes that his weight would make swimming very disadvantageous to him, so he decides to change tactics. He turns toward the crocodile in his arms and tells him that it's all up to him now. At the shore, Big Bear and the others are surprised when the water abruptly surges up toward them in a big wave. The animals get swept out by the water while Bu Ling and Qilu leaps out of the liquid's way and into a nearby treetop. They stare at the ground as crocodiles start coming out of the water. Meanwhile, Liu Fan is waiting impatiently underwater. When the crocodile he's riding on doesn't move, he pounds on its head and orders it to start swimming. The crocodile finally listens to his orders and they start surfacing from the river depths. At the shore, Big Bear struggles against the mighty jaws of another crocodile trying to bite him. To his annoyance, Bu Ling and Qilu shouts advice to him from the treetops. The two girls jump down from the tree when another crocodile bites through the tree trunk and tosses the fallen tree away. Bu Ling reminds everyone that while the crocodile might have a powerful biting force, their mouths don't have the strength to break through if they seal their mouths shut. Big Bear smiles upon hearing the advice and he asks if anyone has a rope. He gazes at the green snake Xiao King with a glint in his eyes. Back in the river, Liu Fan was shocked when he came upon a large pile of bones in the river floor. Not only that, these bones include high-level monster skeletons. He realizes how powerful these crocodiles might be and starts worrying that they might all be in danger. Big Bear, meanwhile, is struggling to defeat the crocodile he's entangled with. When the crocodile's tail manages to get past his guard, it swats him like a fly and Big Bear was blasted back into a tree. With the bear defeated, the crocodile then turns its attention towards its next opponent, the green snake. However, the green snake's body proves to be very advantageous while fighting a crocodile because Xiao King manages to wrap her body on the crocodile's mouth, preventing it from opening. However, another crocodile comes to its companion's rescue and bites both Xiao King and the crocodile. Xiao King screams in pain from the crocodile's teeth. Bu Ling wants to join the fight and help Liu Fan's animal subordinates, but Qilu stops her. She reminds Bu Ling that it's currently daytime and if the sunlight hits her, then they would instantly die. Thankfully, Bu Ling didn't have to risk her life because the water surges upward again as Liu Fan flies out of the river. A few minutes earlier, Liu Fan was still surveying the pile of bones covering the river's floor. These bones are proof that the crocodiles are the undisputed rulers of this place. However, this is also the perfect place to try out one of his skills. Liu Fan concentrates his aura and activates one of the skills he picked up from the Holy Book. Bones from the ground started floating in the air, and they ended up congregating to create a skeletal dog. He pats the dog in the head, but this skill doesn't really help him in escaping his current watery situation. All of a sudden, the skeletal dog kneels in front of him and more skeletal animals start assembling before him. The animals then disassemble themselves and stack their bones on top of each other, creating a staircase going to the surface. It looks like the bones had followed Liu Fan's wishes and gave him the way out. Step by step, Liu Fan climbs the staircase and more skeletal steps assemble before him. But it wasn't only that. The bones also fuse with his armor, giving him a much cooler look. When he finally emerged from the river, everyone was stunned to see him. Even Bu Ling praises him for managing to quickly master one of the skills from the ancient scribes, spirit puppetry technique. The crocodiles all turn toward Liu Fan as he lands back on land, but he wasn't alone. The bones he brought with him once again assembled back to their animal forms, creating various creatures from dogs to oxes or goats. The crocodiles swat these skeletal animals with their tails, sending bone fragments scattering all over. Bu Ling assesses that the crocodile's skins are so tough that even the spirits cannot harm them with their ghostly powers. One crocodile charges toward Liu Fan with his jaw wide open, but Liu Fan just punches the crocodile back. It looks like his hardness is still superior to the crocodile's. Another crocodile tries to sneak up on Liu Fan, but this one gets cleaved and cut up in half. Su Ling emerges from its mouth with her blades drawn. With the tide of the battle turning, the remaining crocodiles tried to book it and escape. However, Liu Fan grabs them by the tail. He praises the crocodile's terrifying strength, but he realizes that he can also use them in crafting a seaworthy vessel. The other crocodiles also tried to run for their lives, but a few hours later, they all ended up tied together with Liu Fan and his subordinates riding on their backs. Bu Ling and Qilu are still with them, but Qilu is annoyed that Liu Fan had already mastered her spirit puppetry technique in just a matter of days when it took her a millennia to learn it. As they venture deeper into the river, their sight are soon obstructed by a dense fog. This would add to the challenge of climbing Mount Xuan. To everyone's surprise, Bu Ling announces that they have arrived. She explains that the Cushion Mountains are the burial grounds of the ancestors of the Earth formation, so it wouldn't just be out in the open. They are actually currently in the first wave of the treacherous Cushion terrain. This first wave is called the Mystical Mist Formation. A mountain looms just in front of them, and Liu Fan decides to bring the crocodiles to shore so they can disembark. Big Bear volunteers to scout ahead of them and quickly jumps off the crocodiles. But the moment he steps on the land vanishes and he falls into the river. Big Bear quickly swims back into the crocodiles while the others wonder where the mountain disappeared to. Bu Ling explains that the earlier mountain is actually just an illusion. Meanwhile, Big Bear notices that his leg is starting to become just bones. Liu Fan also notices that his forearm's muscle is disappearing, leaving just his skeleton behind. He was about to freak out when Su Ling calms him down and points out that it's just a mirage. They didn't really lose their skin, and as proof, she pats down the bone in Liu Fan's arm. Her touch dissipates the mirage and Liu Fan can see his arm again. Su Ling remarks that the illusionary mist is remarkably similar to the black mist that protects the spirit flower coffin in the forest. Even though it's an illusion, they can still die within it since their brains and nerves will believe the death and truly perish. She advises everyone to stay calm. All they need to do is disrupt the flow of spiritual energy within themselves to break free of the illusions. Everyone starts meditating on top of the crocodiles, and surely enough, the mists dissipate. However, the crocodiles finally gave out and it flung them all off their backs, throwing them into the river. The river's water swallows each of them up, and they shout for each other. When Liu Fan awakens again, he finds himself underneath some cherry blossom trees. Beside him was Bu Ling meditating. He asks her where they are, but Bu Ling admits that she also just woke up. They could either be somewhere in the mountains or in their own imaginations. Bu Ling decides that they should just continue searching for the ancient ruins since the others would surely head there too. Bu Ling shares that she wouldn't be able to go with him since she lost her umbrella and she would perish under the sun. Liu Fan smiles and assures her that that won't be a problem. He uses his molten metal skill to create a gold umbrella just for her. Bu Ling profusely thanked him for the umbrella, but she found the umbrella incredibly heavy when Liu Fan handed it to her. Meanwhile, Su Ling found herself in a barren valley. She shouts the other's name, but no one answers back. She continues walking through the valley, but instead of her friends, she ends up meeting with Qilu. They might be allies for now, but they are still the last person each would have wanted to be stuck with. As for Big Bear and Green Snake, they found themselves under a bright sunny day. Strangely enough, both of them are standing on water and they can walk on it. Their current location might be beautiful, but they also know that they should meet up with the others in the ancient ruins at Mount Xuan. However, try as they might to look around, the world around them stretches flat as far as the eye can see. There is not even a hint of a mountain anywhere. That's it for today's recap. Give us a like and subscribe. See you next time.